Imagine it. We're back again. It's Half Blind and Curious. I'm Alan Ferguson and this is a treat for you. I've been looking forward to putting this one out here for a couple of weeks now, maybe 4 weeks, because back in May, our friend Isabella was over from Austria and we brewed a beer together at Stuart's Craft Beer Kitchen. We brewed a coffee and vanilla stout called Giovanni, and this is the podcast about how it all happened, how it all came together. This is so cool. I can't thank Stuart's Craft Beer Kitchen enough. So, how's this one going down? Well, part one will be describing our experiences. We recorded that in Isla's flat. Then, part two will be an interview with the brewer, James, who helped us do it. That was really class. Then, part three will be in Stuart's Dockside Tap, the local pub that I like to go to down in Leith, which is owned by Stuart's. And then part four will be a Skype conversation I had with Isabella and Isla, and our friend Rika was going to come along, but sadly she couldn't do it, which is a shame. But she has also had some. I've had some good friends give me some good feedback, so that's good news. Isla has also got good feedback, and you'll hear in the Skype call Isabella got some from her family as well. So, let me know what you think of the podcast, and if you'd like to try the beer and if I can get it to you somehow, please let me know. But sit back and enjoy. Well, goodly greetings. We're at Isla's place, and I've got Isla and Isabella with me. Hello.
Hello. Hi.
Is this broadly in line with us here? Nice triangle.
Yeah.
That'll do.
Yeah.
Cool. Right, so we're going to talk about the craft beer kitchen experience that we had on Friday, and it was such a class kind of thing to do. Isla, you told me about it.
Yeah.
You told me that it existed in the first place.
Yeah, there was a guy from my work who'd been and made his own beer a couple of years ago for his birthday, so yeah.
And you told me, and I've been wanting to do it ever since.
Yeah.
And it's a no-brainer to convince Isabella. Do you want to brew your own beer for your birthday?
Well, absolutely. Couldn't say no to that one.
Yeah, so, which, and I go down to Stuart's Dockside Tap quite a lot, and I decided, okay, let's make a beer, and Joe, behind the bar, got me a nice wee discount because he's a lovely man. So it was on. And then the next question became, what are we going to brew? And while Isla enjoys the science, and Isabella and I really like the beer, and one of us at some point, I don't know who, suggested a stout. I think it was Isabella, actually, because she's the malt lady.
Yeah, it may have been, because I've really enjoyed stout in the past, and I realised I really love malty beers. So, yeah, we had the idea to do a stout.
Yeah, so we kind of had to. Once that was the case, I was like, okay, well, we'll do a coffee and vanilla thing. And that's pretty much what we did. So, once we decided to do that, I went to a coffee shop near my house, scouted out some coffee. I bought a kilo of the stuff. Artisan coffee, so it better be good and tasty. And what did you get, Isla?
I got 2 Sainsbury's Taste the Difference vanilla pods and some vodka.
Vodka? I thought we were making beer.
Yes, well, apparently, like, the vanilla pods, you can't just put them straight in. That's kind of bad, so you have to sterilise them first.
So
that's what the vodka's for.
They're going to do that, and apparently they're going to give us the vanilla flavour vodka back, or at least some of it. So we'll see how that turns out. So we got them. We went out to the place. Who would like to describe what Stuart's is like what it looks like?
Okay, yeah. So it's sort of in an industrial estate. It's got this big sign outside on the side of an old storage container, and just a Stuart's Craft Beer Kitchen, and it's really cool. And you go in the car park, and you got this big glass sort of front, and you can see like rows and rows of bottles in the window, which we found out later was all the bottles, not the actual beer, but the bottles of the people who've done the craft beer kitchen before, and there was hundreds and hundreds of them. It was really cool. And loads of barrels outside waiting to be used, and just inside it's a nice little quiet minimalist tap room, which has a bar and a shop where you can buy Stuart's gear, and of course, most importantly, drink.
Yes, and you bought some Stuart's gear, Isabella.
Oh yeah, I did. I bought a poster with the style of St. Giles, which is my very favorite beer. And big surprise, it's malty.
Oh, it's malty.
Yeah, so I got that to take home with me, which is really cool.
And I bought a glass. Because I don't like beer, but I like Stuart's, so I bought a glass in the style of Edinburgh Gold.
Oh, yeah. That's cool. I, strangely, never bought any merchandise, but I like to think that I've patronised their establishment enough. Not patronised it in a kind of, oh, you're a lovely pub, aren't you? What are you? You're such a clever pub. But I've been there a lot. So, anyway, we are told that James is going to come and help us.
Yeah.
And he comes out, and we are asked what kind of beer we want to make, and we said a stout at 6%. And I imagine they get quite a lot of people just coming along and saying, we want to brew this, and they go through, right, we have a set recipe, let's brew that. But it never took them long to figure out that Isabella knows and likes her malts, and we like our beer. So we walk in to the actual craft beer kitchen itself. What does that look like?
So, in the majority of the room is just these massive silver tanks full of whatever they're brewing of Stuart's that's eventually going to end up in the bowls that end up in the pubs and in the supermarkets and in the kegs and the whatever it is that they get the beer out of, kegs or casks or whatever it is. See, I'm not very good at knowing terminology.
Yes, okay.
But the stuff that comes out the taps,
Yeah.
anyway.
Some will be
that you're
kegs and
drinking.
some will be casks, depending on the
And
beer.
some might even be bottled.
Yeah.
But either way, you guys will be drinking that soon enough. They're making masses of it. But in one corner of this big warehouse where they're brewing all the beer is the craft beer kitchen, which is like it had these 3 tanks filled with water, hot water for putting the malts in, and it had like a little table where you do the bottling, and had like a little place where they had all the malts.
Yeah, cool. So we get on to it, and we said we're going to brew a stout, and we got to look at the malts. Isabella, did malt look like what you thought it would? And did it taste like what you thought it would?
Well, I'm
'Cause you
not
got to
sure.
taste them.
Strangely, I never imagined what the malts would look like.
Ah.
I always just knew that I would enjoy them, and we got to taste different sorts of malt. And they did taste as I expected. And I got to make the choice of malt, and I chose brown malt,
Yeah.
which ended up being a good choice. Well, at least I hope it was.
You chose brown malt, you chose chocolate malt
Yes,
for the
that's
dark
right.
malt, and we had a barley and oats already there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that brown malt was a good choice.
Yeah.
It's very nutty. Oh. It's going to be a really interesting. Like, what is that going to do with the
Yeah.
coffee and vanilla?
Yeah.
So I didn't really like the chocolate malt very much because it was too kind of bitter for me, but I really liked the barley. That was quite nice.
Ooh, yeah. So maybe one day we can make you a big all barley beer.
Yeah.
A big barley wine just for Isla.
No, it's fine. So yeah, we got the malt. We picked
got
our
the malt.
malts.
Then you have to mill them.
Yeah.
That was really cool. You had to kind of, how would you explain it? Like spin to grind this
Yeah,
thing.
so it's
Yeah.
like you have like a funnel on the top and it leads down into this grinder, and then under the grinders is a place to catch the malt.
Yeah.
And then you have to spin the grinder around so that the malt all goes through it and sort of gets broken up.
Yeah, and we all got to have a go.
Yeah.
And Alan really enjoyed it.
Oh, yeah.
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 It was really cool.
It's really satisfying watching the malt kind of move down into the
Yeah.
funnel as it got going through. It was really cool.
And all the different colours coming together into this big, dark barley and the chocolate and the brown malt
Yeah.
all being, and then it ends up in this bag, doesn't it? So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like a giant, massive tea bag, basically.
Yeah.
Like it's got like thin holes in it, so that the water can get in, but the malt can't get out. And when it was all full, and we put the oats and the barley in, you tied a knot in the top, and we went over to the big tanks
Ooh, yeah.
full of hot water and put it in.
And Isabella was the first to react. She started to go, whoa, it's dark.
Yeah, because of course, since you put the giant tea bag, so to speak, in, the water started turning dark, and it slowly started looking like a malty beer, and it was really exciting.
Oh, yeah, you got
It was
so
like the first
excited.
moment it started to look like beer.
It smelled amazing too.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
It smelled like chocolate porridge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That is what it smelled like.
yeah.
Oh. And then, so we had that, and then once the malt is in, of course, the next thing you have to do is pick out some basic yeasts for bittering and basic hops for bittering and flavouring, and that excited you because you got to smell them all. What
Some
was
of
that
them
like,
smelled
Isabella?
Some of them smelled so great.
Cascade, you
Yeah,
liked,
that was
didn't
my favorite. Cascade was my favorite. That was such a nice fruitiness. Yeah, somehow.
I remember you saying when you sniffed it, that's an IPA hop.
Yes, I knew that right away.
Yeah, you can tell a mile away. You say,
Yeah.
oh, that's been brewed in so many IPAs.
Yeah, as you know, I like my IPA, so.
Yeah, that's true. And in the end, stouts don't have much in the way of exciting, adventurous hops because that's not the point of the beer.
No.
So we put Magnum in for bittering. They have all that. They always use that in Stewart's.
Yeah.
And Bramley Cross, which is just a standard
Yeah,
seasoning.
that's just a
Hops.
basic choice, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that wasn't the interesting part there. But then we came back once we let that settle. Then James put this. Didn't he come over with this huge thing of liquid malt extract or
Yeah.
something? What was that?
Yeah, so it looked a bit like treacle,
Yeah.
really. Like, it's really sort of slow and sticky. So when we took out the tea bag, and then we put in the treacly malt, the liquid malt, and obviously we didn't want to let it settle in the bottom,
No.
so we had to stir it around.
Oh,
So we got this massive white paddle and had to get all the stickiness off the bottom. So Alan, of course, being an amazing stirrer of things,
Well, it did need a lot of strength in the beginning. It was
Yeah.
really sticky.
yeah,
So I had to power my way through that. And then once I
Yeah.
got the stuff off the bottom, you
yeah.
got
And
it.
James reckoned you'd done a really good job because there wasn't anything left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me, a big boy.
Yeah. So once all that was stirred in, I think was that when we added the yeast, or was that later?
No, that came much later. Because we then had to.
We then topped up the water and added the first lot of hops. They added the mosaic.
Yeah, no, not mosaic.
Not
we know.
mosaic,
It was
Magnum.
when we added the Magnum. Yeah.
Magnum. I got the names wrong. It began with a name.
Yeah. And you topped up the water. You added them. You kind of watched it disintegrate, didn't you?
Yeah. So the hops.
You got quite excited about that.
The hops were all like in little pellets, and when they go in the water, because it's really hot, obviously they break up really quickly, and they just sort of form this like green sort of surface on top of the mixture.
Yeah.
That's
But like
cool.
not the entire surface. It was more like some
Yeah.
green spots right
Yeah.
there, or one really
Yeah.
big spot in the middle of it.
And then we filled we added loads of steam to try and heat it up. So we're basically rushing through the steam to make the water heat up and start to boil
Yeah.
at this point. And once it was right boiling, then we had to leave it again.
Yep. And we left that for a wee while.
Yep.
Then we came back and I had to go through a heat exchanger after that.
Yes.
Is that right?
This is when we added the. No, this is when. Did we add anything else at this point? We
Oh,
added
yeah,
the.
we added the second
second
lot of
lot
malt.
hop.
Yeah.
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 We added the Bramley Cross
Added the
again.
Yeah.
Bramley Cross.
That
And
went in. and
That
then-
that went in really quickly. Apparently, it disintegrated really quickly and settled. And then we let that settle to the bottom because we don't want to fill the tubes up with bits of hops and things. And once that all settled, then we went through the heat exchanger, which took all the heat out of what we'd done. But before we could put the mixture, I'm going to call it the mixture. In
The base, it's called.
The base. We had to put it in these fermentation casks.
Yeah, this was the cool bit.
was
Now,
cool.
now we're getting
Yeah.
getting somewhere.
Yeah.
So, this was the point where we get to add our special ingredients.
Mm.
So, this fermentation cask is basically this big sort of 40-litre plastic
Thing.
thing.
Yeah,
like cylinders.
like huge bottles or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we put so we had these 4 bags of coffee that added up to 1 kilogram. So we put one bag of coffee into each of the fermentation cylinders.
Yeah, so then we're left with
Basically,
2 left over
Left-
later.
two
We'll
left
get to
over
that.
later.
But yeah, these two, 1 bag each, 250 grams in each cylinder, poured
Yeah.
on the bottom. And then the beer kind of gradually came out onto it.
Yeah,
didn't it?
so James let the beer go, pouring slowly into these fermentation casks and filling up to near enough the top.
And that smelled amazing.
Yeah, what was it like, Isabella, smelling it?
Just like malt and coffee. So
Right,
really
yes.
amazing combination.
Yeah, we could really start smelling it coming together. And
Yeah.
feeling like this is gonna be a good beer.
It had smelled good before, but when it was added onto the coffee, that just
And I think it was at
Yeah.
that point you add the yeast.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
we're gonna use the standard Stewart's yeast, but then James suggested instead that we use Windsor.
Windsor yeast, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it breaks down a lot of really sweet flavours a bit better.
Yeah.
And it'll give it a bit bigger body. And or it should do anyway. And
Yeah.
it will, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, even if you just left the beer at that with a wee bit of hops, that would be a half decent beer in itself. Because it was smelling sensational.
Yeah.
I mean,
Was.
what did it look like? What colour was it? You know.
Quite dark brown.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So not like totally black beer.
no, not totally black, but quite dark.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So with the yeast added, the chemistry can really begin.
Yeah.
Like the real interaction between everything that really makes it be alcoholic.
Yeah, and I'll ask James about all the science and
Yeah.
the stuff behind
Yes.
that on
Yeah.
Thursday.
Yeast obviously being the thing that makes bread rise as well. It does stuff to the barley
Yeah,
and the malt.
and all the malt.
It makes things happen.
That's going to be so cool to
So-
find that out.
We put the lids on the fermentation casks
Mm-hmm.
and James took them away.
And as far as we are concerned for the moment, that's that.
Yeah, that was our part.
Yeah.
But James is going to, in a week or so, or at some point in the future, like what they call dry hop the beer. He's just going to basically dunk the other half a kilo of coffee in and the 2 vanilla pods once they've been sterilised.
Yep.
And the beer is going to take the flavour from that.
Yeah.
And so it's going to have 2 charges of coffee, like one at the beginning and one at the end, or near the end.
Yeah.
So it's going to be quite coffee-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which means I'm going to hate it, but it's all right.
But you must still try
I'll
it.
still try it, of course. I helped make this beer. I will
Yeah.
try it.
Yeah. So what was your favourite? Because Isla, you're just not a beer drinker.
No.
So what did you enjoy about it? What did you take away from it?
I didn't obviously I didn't know much about beer at all, but what I've kind of realised is what each of the ingredients adds to the beer. Like I understand that malt does certain things and it makes it the colour that it is, and I know that the hops really make it have that bitterness and stuff like that. So it really helped me to sort of understand what makes beer styles the way they are.
Yeah, so you when for example, Isabella poured St Giles earlier, you could go, oh, okay, so there must be a malt that's kind of making it reddish coloured.
Yeah, so that's got some darker malts in it.
Yeah.
Whereas the one that you just had now, which is the green
green
palms,
palms.
was quite light, so it only had light malts in it.
Yeah, it did. It had rye and wheat and some other malt. In it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Although if you tried putting coffee in there, that would change the colours anyway. But I don't think you
That
would
would have
want
been a bit
to.
weird.
It tastes funny. Yeah, because the thing with the brown malts is that they also add some taste. Like they already taste a little bit like coffee.
Yeah,
So
well, the
you-
brown malts are quite nutty, but the
Yeah.
chocolate ones taste quite coffee.
Yeah, so if you had the chocolate malt one, you wouldn't necessarily need the coffee, but you wouldn't taste as much of coffee.
No, and I mean, adding 2 vanilla pods apparently is going to make it quite vanilla-y.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to seeing how this ends up turning out.
Oh, same here.
And this was your birthday, Isabella. So
Yes.
what were your highlights of it?
Oh, so many of them. But, well, I always knew I liked my beer, but I'd never seen how it's brewed. And I was pleasantly surprised that we were involved so much. I thought that we were maybe be telling the brewer, okay, we like to do this, and he would do it. But we actually got to do things for ourselves. So that was really cool.
Yeah.
Got to try everything, the malts, the yeast, the hops, steer things, and yeah, just the entire process was cool.
And if you want to, the more you know, the more they'll let you customize something.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're happy to let you go along with it and say, okay, well, look, if it's a horrible beer, it's on your head. So, you know,
Yeah.
if you want to brew a coffee Berliner Weiss,
Yeah.
that's on your
Yeah.
head.
Although the impression we got was that they didn't think it was going to be horrible.
No.
No, I think they think it's going to actually be tasty. So I guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
So, well, thanks very much. And happy birthday again. Happy late birthday.
Thank you.
Guess we'll find out what James has to say. Well, here we are in the craft beer kitchen, Stuart's craft beer kitchen, and I'm here with the man who helped us brew our beer, James. Hi, James.
Hello.
First of all, I should ask you, what is the craft beer kitchen?
So it's an experience where customers can come in, any member of the public can book a session and brew whatever style of beer they like. We've even managed to do a few sours recently as well. So we can do quite a good range of things, from pale lagers through to stouts like the one you did yourself.
Oh, yeah, we'll get on to that.
Yeah. And we guide people through from when they come in, deciding what style of beer broadly they want to make. We talk through malting process and the sugar source for brewing with, for the yeast to turn into alcohol. We try different hop varieties. We've got pelletized hops in the craft beer kitchen. We probably normally try and keep a dozen different varieties in from around the world. So there's quite a variation of hop aroma and flavour. We talk through those, and we've got, I think, 4 or 5 different yeast strains to choose from as well. So quite a range of things that people can do. It takes a couple of hours to make a beer from sort of beginning to end on the day, and then we pitch the yeast. That's the last thing that we do. And 3 weeks later, for an ale, like you did yourself, people come back and bottle it. In the meantime, you can design your own labels and everything like that.
And that's pretty cool. So do you have kind of base recipes that people follow?
We do. I mean, we make quite a lot of golden ales and IPAs and things like that, but within the kind of base recipe, we ask them sort of want to get a good idea of the kind of colour of the beer that they want to make. So there's quite a range within IPA of how sort of that golden amber you could go. So we get them to try the malts as well and taste them and explain the colour effects that each of them has. Like I say, there are base recipes, but we can tailor them to the group. Yeah. Try and make something different every time. You know?
And do you kind of, so for example, when we walked in, my fiancée Isla, she doesn't like beer, she doesn't know much about beer, but my friend Isabella and we know beer, and to varying degrees. And do you then say, okay, you clearly know kind of what you're after or what you want, let's kind of give you more leeway, for lack of a better term?
Yeah. So we tailor it to the group. There are people who come in not knowing anything at all, and we've got other regulars who are kind of long-term home brewers who know exactly what they're after and drill down into all the detail of everything. So that's quite good fun. Yeah,
never brewed a beer, but I'll probably end up becoming a regular because it's really cool. You do this thing called partial mash brewing.
Yes.
What does that mean?
So the partial mash technique is kind of in between extract or kit brewing and all grain brewing. So what we do is we weigh out the speciality grains, so your crystal malts and your darker grains, or wheat and oats for different effects.
We used beer. Barley, brown malt and chocolate malt.
We did,
for now.
Yeah. And they get steeped for half an hour, and that extracts colour and flavour from the grains. We get a little bit of sugar as well, but the bulk of the sugars comes from a pale liquid malt extract. We buy that in from Muntons. It's the best quality extract that we can get. It's just a shortcut. It means we can make a beer in sort of 2.5 hours rather than 5 or 6 hours it would take for an all grain brew.
Yeah, and if you want to have a business that's turning over people in enough numbers, it's going to make sense, isn't it?
Yes. So we just need to use the one kettle to steep the grains in, and the grains come out, the extract goes in, and we come up to the boil. That's when hops start getting added. So we can get, I think, 7 groups through on the 3 kettles that we've got on a Saturday. That's generally
nice.
7 groups of 4 normally in brewing.
So let's explain the beer. So you've got malt, you've got hops, you've got yeast. Those are kind of the main things.
Yes.
And water.
Yes.
So malt is the grain.
Yes.
And then explain hops to people that don't understand.
So they're a flowering cone, a female flowering cone of a plant called a bine, hop bine, rather than a vine. A bine has a hairy stem that sort of clings to the thing it's growing up. It was a hedgerow plant originally. It's now been cultivated for brewing. And the cones themselves have bitter compounds in them, as well as lots of flavour and aroma compounds. It's the bittering that kind of almost determines the style of beer that when you add it. So you've got different levels of bitterness. IBUs is the measurement, International Bitterness Units, and we generally use a high alpha acid hop for bittering with. So you need to use less of it to get the right level of bitterness for the style of beer you're going for. As I say, they're all pelletised, the hops in the brewery, so you really don't need to use that many to get a decent level of bitterness in your beer, because they're also compressed and they just disintegrate in the boil.
And when we were choosing the hops and stuff, you said one was for bitterness and one was for flavour.
Yes.
Can you explain what the difference is? Because people will just go, oh, bitterness is a flavour.
Well,
So-
so you've got the bitterness, which is extracted by boiling the hops for an hour, and it increases over time, bitterness, but tops out at about an hour. You don't get any more bitterness from the hops after an hour long boil. And then your flavour and aroma compounds are much more delicate, and they would get sort of destroyed by the action of boiling. So
they go in when it's cooler.
They go in towards the end of the boil process. Again, different amounts for different styles of beer and different effects you're going for. We went with a little bit of the Bramlin Cross in your stout, I think, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
Yep. So that's got quite a nice black currant sort of note to it, which would, I think, complement everything else that we added.
Yes, because the rest is quite sweet and quite bitter and
Yes.
huge flavours.
Yes.
So, yeah, it might kind of temper things down a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so we added them in, and after the boil, it went through this heat exchanger.
Yes.
That's a cool thing. What is a heat exchanger?
So it's a series of plates. We run cold water in parallel to pumping the hot beer up. It just strips the heat straight out of the beer. We've got boiling hot liquid down to, we want to get it below 30 so we can put the yeast in, ideally around 20 degrees we want to get it to, and it does it straight away.
Nice.
Yeah.
It was just really cool. I remember thinking, okay, that's quite hot. And then when we tried the base before doing anything else with it was cool again.
Yep.
It was normal ale temperature, shall we say.
And that's where we take the readings as well, take the gravity readings to see how much sugar there is in there for the yeast to turn into alcohol, so we can get an idea of the finished sort of strength of the beer.
And did you have some sort of idea beforehand? So, for example, we went with something like 6%.
Yes.
And around 5.91. How do you know it's going to do that?
We used the house yeast, I believe, with yours, the Nottingham, is that right?
No, we used Windsor.
Oh, we used the Windsor. Right.
Yeah.
So that always finishes a little sweeter than the house yeast. So we just estimate what the final gravity is going to be when you're here on the day. And I'll tell you if it hit that when you're back to bottle it, and then we'll find out.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we know where the house yeast is going to end up. We know the Windsor finishes a little sweeter, so we can generally work it out.
And but did you know, so beforehand, when we measured it, it was 5.9
Yes.
before we put the yeast in.
Yes.
Did you know from, the liquid malt extract, all the malts, that's going to have this amount of sugar?
Yeah, roughly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you always get some variation on the kit, but if you weigh out the right amount of the liquid malt extract in the first place, you should end up at the kind of gravity that you're wanting for when you speak to the customer.
Yeah.
So we know how that works out. Yeah.
And when I tasted the kind of base liquid, the liquid that kind of came around as a result of this basic brewing process, slightly nutty, slightly chocolatey, somewhat sweet.
Yes.
And then we poured this onto coffee. Here's when it really starts to get interesting.
Yes.
How common is somebody coming in and doing that?
I've probably only done 3 or 4 brews with coffee.
Really?
Since I've been here.
Wow.
Yeah. It's nearly 3 years now.
That's
so,
quite rare.
Yeah, we've not done a lot.
Because we were talking about the best way to do it. We brought in a kilo of coffee.
Yeah, we've done it slightly differently to how I've done it previously, but I'd done a white stout myself for here and for the Dockside Tap.
That was lovely.
And that's the first time I'd done adding the coffee as like a declaration charge, to call it. That's when you put the cold wort, the pre-fermented beer, straight on top of the coffee prior to fermentation. Previously, I'd always added it as a dry hop addition, so after fermentation's died down. Now with yours, we're doing both.
Yeah.
Because we added some straight into the fermenter, and we're going to add some more.
Because that's a lot of coffee, a kilo of coffee.
500 grams in each 50-litre fermenter, yeah.
Yeah, which is crazy. But
It's not the most I've ever used, actually.
Really?
Yeah. So
Wow.
we did a beer soon after I started. It was for the Great Grog Bottle Shop. We did a coffee beer coffee porter for them, and they brought in 2 kilos. So that was 1 in each. It was very strong.
Yeah, I was going to say that sounds very strong.
Yeah.
But does it make any difference then doing it? So for your average person, they come in, they want a coffee stout, and if I said, okay, here's a coffee stout, most of the coffee is in the declaration, and here's another one where we've just dry hopped it.
I've not done it side by side, actually. I should probably do that as an experiment, shouldn't I? That'd be interesting. I mean, we can taste yours prior to adding the second coffee edition, which would be quite interesting, because it's not been dry hopped yet. That wouldn't happen probably until tomorrow. It's normally a week for the fermentation to die down. Windsor sometimes has a bit of a lag, so it might not finish fermenting by tomorrow.
Yeah, fair
but
enough.
I'll test it tomorrow.
It'd be good to know.
Yeah.
Because it probably makes quite a bit of difference, particularly in the aroma, you know.
What I could do is just run a bottle of it off, and we can keep that for when you come back to bottle. That'd be quite interesting.
Yeah, to see what it's like to try it.
Yeah.
It could be a not bad beer in its own right.
Yeah.
But, so how do you, given this kind of dual process of declaration and then the dry hopping, and of course we're adding 2 vanilla pods.
Yes.
We asked you whether or not to add 1 or 2, and you said 2.
Yeah.
How do you expect this is going to taste?
The coffee is probably going to dominate it. I'm hoping there'll be some lingering sweetness as well. Partly from the yeast not fermenting all the sugar out, but partly for all the additions that we made. We should... it's going to be interesting. The coffee is probably quite fruity side of things as well, isn't it? So.
Yes, well, the coffee's from a shop that's kind of right on the corner of my street.
All right.
And it's, I like to get a latte, and it's somewhat bitter.
Okay.
It's smoother than you might think when I say it's a bitter coffee. It goes down quite easily, but yeah, it's definitely a kind of dark bitterness.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to
No, me too.
trying again.
Yeah, it should be good.
So, yeah, that's going to be class. And then can you explain the bottling process? Because we have to come in after you've dry hopped everything.
Yep.
And
Rack the beer out of the fermenter into a stainless steel keg and carbonate the beer for you so it's ready to drink when you come back. And there are currently 2 bottling stations through in the craft beer kitchen. Just taps that you fill the bottles from, put the cap on and put your label on. So the label design we like to get in about a week before you come back to bottle.
Okay, so we're looking at the end of next week.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll see what I can do with that one. If I'm going to have to hurry people up and get them up the arse. So that's simple enough. I should ask you then, what are the faux pas? What are the things you don't do here that you've seen people do that is just not on? Or that you just can't do. For example, I was in here, someone asked to do a lager IPA hybrid, and apparently that's quite common to ask.
Yes, it is.
And you can't really do that.
Well, we can ferment the beer with the lager yeast, and we can hop it in the same style as an IPA. So
you make a very hoppy lager.
Yeah, theoretically we can do that. We can't really do sours with Brettanomyces, things like that, with different yeast strains. We don't want to infect the rest of the fermentation room with that. There is a sour container outside that we can do some experiments with, but it's very uncommon for people to come and specifically ask for that kind of thing. It's not a very sort of popular style. It's quite niche. Really.
Yeah. Bretted sours are unique.
Yeah.
And you could always ask Johnny
barrel age
Vault
things
City to help you with that anyway.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, we can't really barrel age stuff either because the batch size is 100 litres. It's not really big enough. We can do oak aging. We've done some oak chip beers before now.
Well, so explain the difference, because obviously some breweries, who shall go nameless, say that they do barrel aging. In fact, they just do simple wood chip aging.
Yes, that's very similar. We've got oak chips and they get added to the fermenter the same way a dry hop would, and we just have to sterilise them first and then get them in. And it adds a layer of flavour.
Do you have to put them in vodka as well, like you asked us to do?
So the vodka is to extract some of the vanilla flavour from the pods. We've done it 2 ways with the oak chips. We've done it with whiskey before now, and that was for a Kraniken beer that Angus has been working on. Version 3 of the recipe of that was on at the festival recently. He's still not happy with it. So there'll be a version 4 coming soon. And the other way we've done it is just boiling hot water.
Oh, yeah.
10 minutes. Yeah.
Could do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then you get as neutral as you can get there
Yeah.
to do that. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks very much for that. I think we've got a kind of general idea of how it's ended up working.
Good.
And I'm very much looking forward to trying the beer. The next step, once it's done for the podcast, is to take it down to somewhere like the Dockside Tap.
Yes.
And get guys like Joe and our friends to try the beer.
Excellent.
So,
That sounds good.
thank you very much for helping me with that.
No problem.
Looks like here we are at the Dockside Tap, just like I said we would be at the end of the interview with James. I'm here with Isla, I'm here with Joe, Amelie, loads of people are in here, and that's pretty cool. Joe, we're at Dockside Tap. What is the Dockside Tap?
Dockside Tap is the greatest place in the world.
Apart from it being the greatest place in the world, what would you say?
It's Stuart Brewing from Edinburgh. It's their Leith tap room. So we've got 10 draft beers on all the time. Massive selection of Stuart Brewing bottles, cans, and then a lot of guest stuff as well. And it's a lovely place to come and have a beer.
It is, and we've got a good wee group of locals here now.
Yeah, definitely.
So, shout out to all the locals if any of you deign to listen to this. And but before we get to actually talking about the beer, we have to actually catch people up on what happened with the beer. So, James said it got dry hopped with coffee and vanilla, and when we came back, Isla and I went to bottle it. How would you describe the bottling process, Isla?
I would describe it as very straightforward and orderly. Nice.
And what happened? How did it go?
So, okay,
we went in.
you go in, and so there is a few different stages to the bottling process. So, first thing you have to do is you wash the bottles. So you get them all out of the boxes, stick them in the washer thing, and you push a button, and it shoots like really high pressure water up in the bottles. And if you don't put them on properly, apparently they'll go flying. So, yeah. And then take the bottles off, and you pour the beer into the bottle. You have to hold it like at an angle so it doesn't froth up too much. And it comes out in a keg, which is hiding in a nice cold room. So when it comes out, it's really cold, and the bottle gets really condensated. So once you've put the bottle cap on, which is sort of like a little machine that just forces it on the top of the bottle, you have to wipe it down so that you can actually stick the label on, and it doesn't just lose the label. So you were doing the bottle cap on.
Yeah, and washing it down.
And
you were doing the pouring and the labelling.
Pouring and the labelling. Yeah. So it's going from one side of you to the other. Yeah. We had a really good little rhythm going.
We did. It took us 2 hours for 144 bottles.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
Pretty good going.
Yeah. I mean, I probably did rush the labelling a bit, but so some of them came up a bit funny, but most of them were fine.
But with this label, how would you describe the label? Because you and Sarah from Austria helped come up with it.
Yes. So the label is black and white, and on the white half is the picture that Sarah drew, which is this mad gangster goat with a gun and like a coke around him, and it's just like ready to tell you all what to do, like the Godfather. And then on the other half of the label, it says Giovanni in awesome gold letters, and it's all black. It says Coffee Bill and Stout and stuff, and it's a beer you can't refuse.
Well,
This is the motto of the Giovanni.
it is. So the white and black for the coffee and vanilla. How would you say it ends up looking, Joe, in the glass? Like a stout?
Glass, it does look like a stout.
Yeah.
Deep, pitch black. Nice little bit of a head. Like a brown hue on it. Good head retention as well. It looks rather appetizing.
Yeah. And it smells good, doesn't it?
It smells gorgeous.
We have all tasted this before, so we shouldn't deceive people here. But on the nose, what are you getting on the nose? I'm getting just a shit ton of coffee.
Yeah, huge amounts of coffee. A little bit of smoke, maybe a little bit of burnt toast.
Yeah.
But like creamy coffee, like milky coffee I get.
Yeah. That's interesting, because I didn't get the smoke until recently. I'm getting it now.
It's like charcoal almost.
It is. I wonder why that is. Just the sheer roasty coffiness of
Possibly,
it. Yeah. And the malt. So yeah, that's class. Hey, so let's dig in, and we'll let you take it from here, Joe, as to what you're getting, because you have let's just say you have an educated palate, which is a good way of saying
It's your beer, though.
it is, yeah.
I feel like I'm doing it an injustice.
No, well, the thing is, own brand is the best, like, it's the same with farts, so you should,
I'd agree with that.
you should take it, yeah.
But what do you think about it?
What do I think? I think, creamy and smooth mouthfeel. The very first thing you get, like right on the very tip, is slight maltiness, and then this huge coffee hit
Yeah.
rushes up, but it gets cut off abruptly for me by kind of rounded out, and that's as much as you could tell for me that the vanilla's there.
Yeah.
But I like it, because if it wasn't there, that coffee would just keep going.
I think the coffee would be overpowering otherwise.
Yeah.
It's slightly too bitter. I think the vanilla adds a little bit of sweetness, which I like.
Yeah. What are you getting from it then? How do you experience it?
I think first thing I get is blackberry. Blackberry, a little bit of like roasted hazelnut, and then big coffee. More bitter coffee than I would get on the nose. The nose was slightly sweeter to me.
Yeah.
I get your thing about the coffee cutting off. I still get it. It lingers quite a lot, but the vanilla really mellows it out.
Yeah.
And then vanilla balances. It's a really nice sweet backdrop to it. Yeah, it's lovely. It's quite sticky as well, which I like.
It is that, yeah, and it's proper thick and creamy.
Yeah.
It's a stout that turned out better than I could ever have thought it did. You know, and kind of wait for Isabella to actually try that. We're going to end up doing a recording by Isabella, because she still hasn't got the beer in Australia.
Soon though.
Yeah, I really hope it turns up soon.
At least the catchphrase in the bottle, the beer you can't refuse. At least it lives up to that.
Oh, do you reckon? No, I'll take that. Yeah,
I reckon so.
How many bottles have you had so far?
I've only had 2.
Oh, okay.
But they were in quick succession. If that makes it any better.
Fair enough. That's class. So, let's just say, Joe, that I was sitting in here and I wanted to go to the docks, that I wanted to go to the craft beer kitchen. Would you by any chance have any way of getting from here to there cheaper than it would be from here from my house?
Why, Alan, I'm glad you asked.
Yeah.
No, we've got a taxi service where we can get you from the Dockside Tap in Leith to the brewery out of Lone Head for £15 as opposed to about £27-28. So we subsidise a big amount of that, which makes it easier for people to get there. It's not the quickest drive, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, it certainly helps.
Yeah. I mean, it cost us 24 quid to get there from the cafe and the floor.
So yeah, it's also an opportunity. It's a good opportunity, isn't it?
Yeah. And honestly, if you can get the chance to go to the Stuart's Craft Beer Kitchen and brew a beer, take it. It's amazingly fun. Isla does not drink beer.
I do not, but I had a fantastic time. I don't like beer and I don't like coffee, so I'm like an atheist in the most fundamentalist church. I loved it. I loved every second of it. It was great fun.
So it's a good learning experience as well, I think. Even if you're not a beer drinker, I think it's still interesting.
It's a really good way to understand how beer comes about, what people mean by the word malt and hops and how they influence the flavours and all the rest of it. It's really fascinating. There's a guy at my work who's been about 3 times. I'm telling other people to go.
Good.
That's amazing. Now, you sent some round your work colleagues. How did it go down?
Very well indeed. So they really loved it. It's been called Ace, and a good thing to watch Mock of the Week too. Just like, I've had nothing but positive comments about it from everyone.
Nice.
I would second that as well.
Yeah, that's good. Well, it's all downhill from here. So thanks very much, and cheers, Joe.
No bother. Thank you for the Giovanni.
You're welcome. That's a good rhyming slang, that. Well. here we go. It's the final part of the podcast. And after all the drama, which we will explain briefly, Isabella finally has Giovanni. Isabella, how excited are you?
Extremely excited. I had to wait so long for the spear, which we will talk about in just a bit. So it's amazing that I can finally try it.
So what happened? I sent off, or Isla as well, you were there, weren't you? We sent off 48 bottles to Austria.
Yeah.
And it was all looking fine and dandy. And then what happened, Isabella?
Well, I came home one day and there was a note that they had tried to deliver it and that I wasn't home and that they would try it again the next day. And only they never came back. So I tracked it and I realized that it said there's been some sort of damage and that they decided to send it back to Scotland. And I tried sending an email to tell them not to send it back and just give whatever remains to me, but it was too late. And after a few days, we found out that not only had there been some damage, but that all 48 bottles had been destroyed and that they had just thrown away everything.
And that sucked.
Yeah, it was elephant shite.
That's one way of putting it. Yeah, it was elephant shite. and Isla and I had spent so long bottling it. Isla explained the bottling process in the last part when we done the thingy at the dockside tap. But that must have been rubbish for you to have also put all that work in for no reward.
Yeah, that was like 48 out of 144 things that I bottled.
Yeah.
That's about a third.
It is. So in the end, Isabella ended up with nearly half the bottles getting sent to her in order that 20 might get
Really shouldn't have done that.
However, let me thank Dom and Nathan at the Beer Zoo. They came through for us nicely in the end. Isla first showed me where the Beer Zoo was, and boy, am I appreciative of that now.
Yeah, also another really big thank you from me. Can hardly express my appreciation because I can finally try this.
Oh, well, let's delay no longer. We have all three here, and sadly, Isla, you don't like beer, so you've still never really. Have you tried it? Did you try a sip? I can't remember.
I have had enough of the smell of it on me when I was. And I know exactly what it's like without trying it.
Oh yeah, you got lots of it on you.
Yeah. I smelled the coffee for days.
Yeah, that's right. It was great. I was just following you around, sniffing you. Yeah.
It was very creepy, but at least you didn't need your cane for a while. Following me around. That's how I am by scent.
Yeah. That's such a great way to find Pokestops as I follow you, just smelling it. So, now, speaking of trying this, let's describe it. I described it, and so did Joe, especially in the last one. So, Isabella, what are you getting first of all on the nose?
Loads of coffee. Which is no surprise because it's basically the main ingredient.
Pretty much. We put this in as we put oatmeal in. So,
yeah.
Can you smell the vanilla? I think I can smell something sweetening the coffee, but I couldn't tell it was vanilla.
Yeah, same here. There's some sweet kind of smell, but if I didn't know there was vanilla in there, then I don't think I would have guessed it. But definitely something sweet.
And perhaps a bit smoky or roasty. Roasty coffee is definitely huge. Huge.
Yeah. And also, it's so dark. It looks like Coca-Cola.
Dark brown or black? Is it very
black.
dark brown?
It's really black.
Oh, wow. That's really cool. I wonder if you could take a picture so that we have a picture Your Giovanni Untapped. Is that
Definitely can do that.
okay? Are you going to do that just now, or should we do that? You've tasted it.
I don't know. Can I do that with Skype running? Probably.
Possibly.
I'll try.
Well, if you can't, doesn't matter. So
I'll try. Just
okay. So we're going to get this picture. This is brilliant for the audio.
okay.
Well, but it is.
I'll be
such
quick.
a
Here we go.
huge coffee hit.
Okay, I got a picture with both the glass with the beer in it and the bottle on it, so that's nice.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, if you could send that to me as well, that would be cool. Okay, so let's hear what you think when finally you get to try more than a tiny sip of Giovanni.
Yes, let's do it. Liking it.
Whoa, that is a coffee beer.
Really good.
Nice. So, what would you say? Apart from good, how would you describe it?
I really get the coffee. Funnily enough, I don't really get anything sweet or vanilla-ish when I taste it, as opposed to when I smelled it. So that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no vanilla at all.
Yeah. Get the oatmeal, the nice stout character.
Oh yeah, creamy and smooth it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah, it's very creamy.
Yeah.
And
creamy is a good
pours,
way.
Pours lovely, nice tan head. It's very creamy. My friend Matt described it as like an iced coffee. Like a pint of iced coffee.
That's what my mom said today because we did do a little bit of a tasting at my aunt's house today, and when my mom saw it and I told her how much coffee was in there, she said, "Oh, is this iced coffee?"
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
I mean, no, it really does. When we went to the brewery, Isla and I smelled of the coffee, especially her, for ages.
Yeah.
It was everywhere. It was just, we put so much coffee in. You don't get it. 80-litre batch, 21 gallons, and we put a kilo of coffee.
Yeah.
And that's an insane coffee beer.
Yeah.
But it works.
It is, but it's really, it really works. So,
can you give us what the family take was on Giovanni? You said you had a tasting with your family.
Yes. So both my aunts and my uncle said it was sensational. So they really loved it. My dad liked it, which is a surprise because my dad really likes pale ales and he doesn't like stout so much, but he liked this one. So 1 point for Giovanni. And my brother said it was okay, but not his cup of tea. My grandma hated it. And my grandpa said it tastes like cold coffee with a little bit of rum in it. And I kind of get that remark somehow.
Yeah. And that's an interesting take. Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Do you get any of that rumness? I would never have thought of that.
A bit, yeah. Slightly.
Yeah, now that you mention it. There is a slight berryish quality as well, like ever so slight berries, but you really have to.
I mean, that's something I don't really get.
You've had a lot of it at this point, Alan. So you've had plenty of time to get to the depths of the taste of Giovanni.
That's true. I can't look past the coffee, but I can kind of take it into account when I'm tasting it. There's no way to look past the coffee. It's just.
Well, to be honest, it is one big coffee beer, that's for sure. But from what I'd heard before, everyone's saying, "Oh, so much coffee, 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 coffee." I expected it to be even more coffee-ish.
Oh, yes, because Reka, our friend in Finland, she's like, oh, it's so Austrian coffee shop. It's the biggest, darkest coffee hit the world has ever seen.
Maybe I'm more used to that. If she says it's like Austrian coffee shop.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe this is just your level of coffee.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Be.
Oh, so what is your overall verdict on it now that you're making your way down it? Do you think it's a good beer?
Yes, I do. I may be biased because I helped brew it, but I really like it. I'm really happy with how it turned out. I think it's nicely balanced, although there's really loads of coffee in it. It's not, at least for me, it's not overwhelming. And although it's a stout, and stouts tend to be heavier than, for example, pale ales or something like that, it's still very smooth and drinkable. So I really like that balance of it still being a coffee beer and a stout, but still smooth and easy to drink.
And that's a good point to kind of you've transitioned well to my very last point on it, because you did say you helped brew it. So let's ask Isla, who hasn't had any of this. I've asked you before, Isla, because I asked you about the experience, etc. Still worth it? Still worth the time that you put in?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
Recommending
You've, hang on, Isla, you're away down somewhere. You're very muffled.
What?
Hey,
Is that better?
there you are. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Holding my phone in different locations. No, I think it was definitely worth it, and I've been recommending the Craft Beer Kitchen to everyone.
That's a good idea. So, do you want to put a plug in for it?
Yes. If you live anywhere in the UK, preferably close to Edinburgh, book in a slot at the Craft Beer Kitchen. Make sure you get 80 litres, because you might as well. You're going to make that much anyway, and you don't want to throw away perfectly decent beer.
That's very true.
Don't just go for a standard IPA. Do something special, because they'll help you out and you can make something awesome.
Yeah, do something fun. It's really
Was
worth
it worth
it,
it
and
for
it's
you,
a great
Isabella?
experience.
After all the chaos and nonsense, was it worth it?
Absolutely. I loved the experience. I loved that I got to do this with the two of you. And yeah, I also want to thank the two of you again, because this was part of a really amazing birthday and a birthday present as well. And definitely one of the best, if not the best present I've ever gotten. So big thank you. I enjoyed it and it was amazing.
You're very welcome. I'm glad
You're welcome.
Fun.
Happy
So-
birthday again.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Well, that's all from this recording, and who knows what's next in the podcast, but we've had fun.
Oh, we did. Yeah.
Well, what's next on the podcast is the conclusion. I hope you enjoyed that. I really do. As you can tell, we all enjoyed ourselves going through the whole process of brewing and bottling and tasting. The only bit we didn't enjoy was trying to get some beer to Austria. But Dom and Nathan at the Beer Zoo, again, thank you so much. But thank you to James for helping to brew the beer with us. That was great. Thank you for the interview. That was some good science. And then thanks, Joe. You know what you're doing down there in the Dockside Tap is a pub I would highly recommend. So get down there if you're ever in Edinburgh. If you find yourself in Leith, come down. You might see me there, and you might see Isla coming there and enjoying herself as well, drinking some cream soda and lemonade. So that's that for the podcast. Get in touch. Tell me what you reckon. Tell me if you want some Giovanni. I only have a few left now, but I'd at least be happy to share one with you. Oh, what a beer that is. I'm probably going to open one. I'll leave a couple, until like winter to see how it ages and see how the coffee mellows and settles. But also, check it out on Untapped as well. Giovanni Craft Beer Kitchen. That's worth looking at on Untapped. We are doing very well in the ratings in the Craft Beer Kitchen, and I'm very proud of that. So, have a lovely time, and I'll see you next time. I'm Alan Ferguson. This is Half Blind and Curious.